with all the information, you can probably notice that it's not very similar to chess. It actually, the only thing in common with chess is this concept of having the board where you can put like units, but it is way more of a deck building game than it is a chess, right?
Welcome to the first.
Aí. Você tem que olhar pra mim e ver se eu tô pronto. Eu tô. And then you're like,
Not my fault, you're
oh,
just playing around. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast dedicated to TFT. We still don't have a name because we came with the idea of making a podcast without thinking about
the name of the
about
podcast.
names or mainly that.
But if you have any suggestion, please let us know in the comments.
Yes, please, we need some ideas.
Yes. Our first episode is gonna be about TFT as the last surviving auto chess, or like the auto chess that is thriving the most. Thriving. That is thriving the most. So we're gonna talk a little bit about how TFT started and why, few reasons why we think it's still thriving and going strong. Meanwhile, many other games of the same genre don't have the same success. So the reality is, a lot of them were made like just for mobile. After the initial boom, there were very few auto chess games that were really like developed for computer to be like a completely whole different game. They were mainly for mobile, and there were some options coming through. Some took more time, some came like faster, like TFT. For example, the one by Dota, right? Because auto chess was a mod made by fans inside the game of Dota 2.
So fans created the genre auto chess.
Yes, it was created by fans.
I wonder how they came with the idea of auto chess.
It is crazy, no? Should we talk a little about like defining auto chess? What is it? What is auto chess?
Okay.
Well, so first of all, we already talked, is a mod about Dota, from Dota, that it came from Dota. So Dota 2 has this thing where people can modify the game and make new maps and make new rules inside the game. Something very different from League of Legends, for example. League of Legends doesn't give you that freedom.
No. So, like Minecraft, for example.
Yeah, kinda. But imagine like if Minecraft had a main mode, which is the MOBA, but then you could also do this on the side, like this different way of playing the game.
So it was like an open source, and they just give full access.
I don't know if the word is open source, but it's something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it is. Who knows? So what is the auto chess? The auto chess has people gave this name, or the company gave this name. I don't even know if it was the company or like the company. I mean, the fans that created, or if it was the community after or whatever. But it's because the original one had a chess board for you to put your units. Meanwhile, we know the TFT is different, for example, but the original one used like a square system, and it looked exactly like half of a chess board. And then when you face your opponent, is like a full chess board. Okay. And then they have, well, if you're watching this podcast, I assume that you probably know TFT, but we're going to go through some of the basics quickly. You can recruit and upgrade units, so you can buy those units from the shop. There's always going to be a shop with like 5 options, and the units cost different amounts, and the more that they cost, the stronger they are. And you can recruit them, you can buy them to use them in your team. And the concept of upgrading, they also got from this mod, and works exactly like you have 3 units of the same star level, they upgrade to the next star level. So they start as 1 stars. If you get 3 of them, it goes to 2 stars, and then you need 2 stars to get a 3 star. So you need to buy 9 units in total to get it as strong as possible, which is easier if they're lower cost, but as they go up, it gets harder, right? Another thing that also came from the original one, the units fight automatically. So you don't need to do any of the fighting. You don't need to be fast. You don't need to be, super skilled player with your mouse. It's not like Valorant or Counter-Strike or even League of Legends or Dota. which you need those response times and everything. It's more about the strategy putting into building the team and how you position them for the units to fight, right? Auto fight.
Auto. Right?
Yeah.
Automatic.
Automatically, yes.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that they also grab from the original one is that they have a mana bar, and when they reach the maximum mana, they use their ultimate ability. It was pretty much the same in this mod, which is different from Dota and from League of Legends, for example, where you usually have 4 skills that you can use. Over there, it was only 1, and of course, they also changed the values of the damage of how it works from the regular game to work in this game properly, right? And they also had a level up system. I don't remember how exactly it was a level up system of Auto Chess, the original one, but I think it was pretty similar to what we have. Like, okay, 4 gold, you buy 4 XP, and they also have the monetary system of every 10 gold that you have, you gain 1 extra interest at the end of each round. So it would also incentivize you to save more gold. So with all the information, you can probably notice that it's not very similar to chess. It actually, the only thing in common with chess is this concept of having the board where you can put like units, but it is way more of a deck building game than it is a chess, right?
I would say it has some elements. I'm thinking right now about Magic Arena, for example. Magic Arena, you have the mana, right? Like it's your money.
Yeah.
And then you start positioning your units in your boards, right? And you decide to put some artifacts or not, depending on the amount of money that you have. And then you decide, well, in TFT, at least you're always attacking, right?
Yeah, you're always attacking.
Might give you more options, but I feel like it has some elements like that, right? Managing your money, like the amount of gold that you have, and deciding the units that you're gonna put in your board as well.
Yeah, I would say you can compare it to Magic in the sense, but in Magic, the deck building usually comes before the match. There are some new board games that you build your deck during the game, right? Like as the game goes, you start building your strategy. I think TFT is a little more similar in this sense.
Okay.
For example, we have one called Dungeon Boss Monster. We have one Boss Monster where you start building your dungeon, right? So kind of this vibe, but this one is way more simple because you only have like 5 rooms in your dungeon. So TFT, of course, you're buying a lot of different units and you're checking their synergies. Which, by the way, the synergy is also something that came from Auto Chess. This thing of like, okay, I have 1 ranger, so if I have 2 rangers, they gain a bonus ability. It's things that, in my opinion, was like very smartly used to make the game more interesting. Because if you only had units that do their abilities, then people would always use the same ones because they would be the strongest kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that sometimes that happens with the meta comps. They kind of stay. People kind of stay in the same meta comps that work and don't explore that much until there is a change in the game that we will talk about later.
Yeah, for sure. But it's more in a sense like, imagine if the meta comp would be always the same characters exactly because those characters are the strongest. Instead, the meta gives you some options of teams that you can, you know.
Have you played
a little bit better.
Dota? Auto Chess?
The Auto Chess? I played it when it was released because it was a huge hype. Like everyone was talking about it. My friends are playing, so I started playing with them.
When was that, more or less?
End of 2018, beginning of 2019. So the official release is like January 2019, but I believe people were playing like before like 2018, at the end of 2018, around that time.
Like a testing the game or
yeah,
something?
Because since it was a mod, right? It was not like official in a way. Like
that's
you
true.
just
Like
started playing.
You don't release it, right?
Yeah, you just download the game, apply the mod there, and then you start playing.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So fans released this Dota mode, and after that, did Dota like take the initiative and release an official auto chess or something? That's
So
happened?
it was very interesting because it kind of split in two. So first you have auto chess inside Dota, right? And then auto chess went and create their own game.
Dota.
No, auto chess. The people who created the mods.
Okay.
They went and created auto chess, like a different game called auto chess.
That is
no
not
Dota characters.
It's like their own characters.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then Dota went and create their game.
They should have made an alliance or something, right? Like I feel like
it was very weird, especially because the one from Dota, Underlords or something like that, the name, it came way after. And I felt like they pretty much abandoned after a while. Like it was a very cool game, a very cool design and everything, but it felt like it came way after, and they abandoned it after a few months. Like it haven't had updates in a long time.
Interesting.
Let's start talking a little bit about the beginning of TFT.
You told me that Dota, the auto chess mode came in January 2019.
The official release, yes. And TFT in June 2019. So just a few months after. For a game, like for making a new game, that is very fast. Like games take years.
Do you think they had the idea before and it was kind of like a coincidence, or you think that they saw the opportunity?
They saw the opportunity for sure. We are doing this right now. Even though, because League of Legends is exactly that, right? They copied the original Dota and they said, okay, we're gonna release these, but they also added their twist, right? Like for example, League of Legends was completely free because they saw this idea from games in the East that people were releasing, like the companies were releasing games for free, but that you could buy cosmetics and things inside the game.
What's the name of the type of game?
Like MOBA?
Those are the MOBA, no?
MOBA is League of Legends, Dota.
No, this game that it's free, but of course if you
free to play is how they call.
Free to play, okay.
And then inside the game they have cosmetics
like Genshin,
or whatever.
Right? Genshin.
Genshin is more gacha already, which is like, it's not about the cosmetics, but you're rolling the thing, trying to get the best unit. League of Legends was really good in the sense, and it still is up to this day. It was like only cosmetics. You can never buy with money advantage inside the game. Okay, it's only your ability, and that's it. Yeah. If you lose because of you, and your team. Which also TFT does, right? TFT has a lot of cosmetics, but inside the game, everyone is the same, and I really like that. It really motivates me to play more. Because and to be better, yeah, because those games where people just buy the best equipment and weapon or character, you feel like, oh, why would I do that? Why would I go and try to play against these people if I'll never have, the same as them? Exactly. Okay. So they definitely try to get the hype, and this shows as well to the fact that the game was not very complete. The game was still very raw in a way. Like, did you play the first set? I played every set ever since they released. Everything? No, maybe you missed one or two. No, the thing is, some sets they release and I play on the release and then I just forget about it. Some sets were more like that. But I've played every single set. Do you remember for set one? Yeah, set one was just based on League of Legends basic world, and most of the champions were like in their base skin, which is the appearance, right? So they were in the base skins and they had abilities that everyone knew from the game, right? But they released when the hype was still there, people were still hyped about all the chess. Yeah, people were talk about it. Exactly. They knew that was happening. Okay. And that tells, especially because a lot of streamers went to play it as soon as it was released. Streamers, the one that I remember the most, but that's maybe just because it was the communities that I followed the most, was people from League of Legends, because it's even in the same client, right? This is the place where you play both games is the same. And so there was a lot of people from League of Legends. And I don't think those stick for that long, but it was more like to try and the hype. And people from other like card games, for example, Hearthstone. Hearthstone is the biggest one that I remember because Hearthstone was really big at the time, but it was kind of starting to die. Now, like nowadays, it's pretty much dead. I mean, there's some creators that still talk about Hearthstone and they make their
main
Yeah,
videos about
it's way more
stuff.
niche than it was at the time.
Interesting.
So we saw people like Disguise Toast, Crib, Amas, some people they don't know those, but yeah, like let's say this guy's Toast, for example, he's huge still right now, right? And that one started like skyrocketing him after Hearthstone. So he had his first big wave with Hearthstone, and then TFT, and then Among Us, I think was the third one. Like they got a lot of hype. But anyway, coming back to the game, so they really succeeded in the point where like when they released, people were still interested and people were still playing, and that's a little bit about when did it show up. But let's keep going. TFT brought some things a little different. They give their own little twist to auto chess. First of all, it was not chess anymore. Now there were hexagons instead of squares, like in the chessboard, which is okay. I don't think it's that relevant. Maybe they just wanted to give it a little change, right?
Yeah, their own twist.
Their own twist, make it a little more dynamic, the positioning a little more unique.
Even though I feel like everyone puts like that might be my
impression.
My impression that but everyone puts their units in the same spots, like corner right, corner left, and then front.
Yeah, because the way that the board is made, like if you put in the same positions, you know that your safest unit is going to be in the back on the left side. That is the safest position. So usually you want to put your main carry there. I would say in the past it was more different in the beginning of TFT because you used to have more oppressive classes that jump in the back, the assassins.
God, I hate those.
Yeah, so the assassins used to, or whatever name they gave it to them, but like assassin was the original one, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
The assassin would jump to your back and like kill your guy in the back. So you'd have to like try to put the front in the back to protect them. Eventually they stopped with the type.
Thank God.
Because it was really oppressive and you didn't know who you were facing. So you might face those guys, but you might not. And if you change your positioning and you don't face them, it's really bad for you, right? So they started making other options that are similar. For example, in the current set, you have Smeech that jumps around to people with no item. So if you put like someone with no item close to your carry, he jumps there and then he kills your carry, right? But every time we try to use him, we fail. So I hate him.
That's another conversation.
There's another conversation for another day, right? Yeah. They also used to have a units that have a hook, like a grab. Yeah. Blitzcrank, Trash.
Trash. I remember Trash. Yeah. I like Trash.
They will go across the map and grab your guy in the corner, so you have to change your positioning a little bit to avoid them. Also, the item Zephyr that used to exist, where you put someone in the air. It still exists, but now it's like a different thing, super rare, like a support item.
It's super rare to find. I don't see many people, if anyone.
It was very common. It was just the belt and the cloak, and you made the item in the past.
Oh, so annoying.
It was very annoying. But yeah, in the beginning they have this, and let's talk a little bit more about the items that we're mentioning. So I feel like out of chess, one thing that they did really bad was how they used the items. Like you would get an item every now and then, but it was very little. You couldn't feel that much of the relevance of those items. It was weird, as far as I remember, but I also didn't play that much. But LoL like brought it and made it way more effective, in my opinion. Way more simple as well. Way more simple for League of Legends players, for example. Because as a League of Legends player, a lot of the items that they use and the recipes that they use of the two components to build them were like similar to the normal game, and the effects also would remind you of the effects that they had in the set.
You kind of understand what's going on, right?
Yeah, so you kind of understand. Okay, Bloodthirster is still gonna make you gain life, and then as static shift is gonna do damage to like a lot of people. And Warmog gives a lot of life. Warmog cuts the healing abilities. Morello Nomicon cuts the healing abilities.
Yeah. Meanwhile, people who don't speak LOL language, we are kind of like very lost. Like I still have to read what's going on. Like I still have to read what Bloodthirster do, what Giant Result does, what Hand of Justice does. I still have to read and like trying to understand and remember what they do. Maybe I feel like if I sit down and do some research or Google and trying to memorize, or if I make my Anki deck about the items, it will be easier. Like if I put more effort on doing that. But if I just sit down and try to play the game, I feel very lost. And I put myself in someone who is gonna try to play the game for the first time. Maybe a little bit overwhelming, if not a lot overwhelming.
But also, I feel like people follow a lot of those websites,
Metacom,
like Mobalytics, the Metacomps. So those sites just tell you like straight away, like which items are the best, and then you always try to go for those ones. So if you do that, you kind of lose a little bit of the autonomy of like understanding the items and checking what are other options that you can do other than the strongest possible, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, they had those items. They changed ever since, like which items were there. Some items were a little broken and worked a little weird.
It's broken, guys.
It's broken. Now it's better. But one important point is also they had normal and ranked modes. I feel like every game from Riot Games, they try to incentivize the competitive scene. So this is also something that they did ever since the beginning. They said, okay, by next year, 2020, we're going to start having championships of TFT because they really want to promote like the competitive scene. They want people to play and, you know, aim for challenger, aim to be the best, aim to play in championships, right? I
feel like it's the same system that worked for League of Legends, and they are implementing it on TFT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that worked for them, so why not keep doing it on TFT?
Yeah, for sure.
It works, I think.
It works, especially I don't feel like TFT is like super casual, like a game that you want to play once per week. Usually you want to play more because it's fun and the time passes fast, and like it or not, it's a game that takes some time, right? Like each match, like half an hour to 40 minutes.
If you're
bad to die fast.
If you lose and it's a bad match, it can be 20 minutes. But if you're doing good and you're surviving and you're making your comp work, it can take 40 to 50 minutes even maximum. Like I would say 40.
40 minutes maximum, I would say.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, it can take 40 minutes to
play one game.
Yeah. And yeah, you can get really obsessed with it.
Yeah. I think it's also really fun to play with friends. Like, but it's hard to get a group of like 8 friends and say, hey guys.
All of them know about, yeah.
Everyone likes TFT. Like 8 people, like, hey guys, let's everyone play TFT. That would be really fun, but it never happened to me.
Maybe that's our experience, right? Like maybe in some part of the world there is a group of friends that like TFT.
Maybe. I don't even know if you can play with 8 people. Maybe normal.
I'm not sure.
Ranked, definitely not. Ranked is gonna limit you to 3, I think. 3 people.
Yeah.
They wanted to promote the competitive scene and the ranked modes because they know that people get hooked by that and it's like addicting and you want to improve, you want a better tier. And well, it worked. It worked very well. People got hooked very easily. Even though the game was still very raw, there were a lot of things kind of incomplete, and the first set got boring after a while. There was not much variance inside it.
Okay.
I also don't remember if they were doing patches as often as they do right now. Maybe because League of Legends does the same cycle of like every 2 weeks. So maybe they were following this cycle of 2 weeks as well. I do not remember. But the game was just the champions and the items, and as we saw with time, they added more and more different things.
Different dynamics. The worlds, where is your game going to be? Like
the portal. But the main like big hit were the arguments for sure.
When they implement the arguments.
Yeah, because the arguments make every game more unique in a way. Like you can change your strategy, you can make strategies that are usually not viable, you can make them viable. For me, that was the big turning point around set 6, I want to say. But it was a set like with the theme of technology, like techno.
And they saw that people really liked it, and they keep it.
Yeah, they saw it was a huge hit, and like, okay, we need to keep this forever. So ever some other sets had other mechanics that went away. Because I think there was also something that worried them is if we just keep adding, it's gonna become
Too
like
much.
too much, super complicated. So
I remember this, for example, that you can choose the portal where you're gonna go.
yeah, this was from the last set to this one. They already decided, it's too much.
People always go to the
People
same ones.
mostly go to the same one, so I liked it. I like to have the choice in the beginning of the game.
I like the variety, but
they said, no, we're choosing for you. Those are the most famous, so you got those ones.
it might be back. We don't know. Like
Exactly,
next
they
time
are
it can be back.
testing.
Like
Yeah, but so yeah, they had one where your unit, you would buy a unit already 2 stars in the store,
oh, I hate that.
and it had like some double feature of something. It was okay.
I hate that because my brain every time that I see something that shines
I
wants
want to
to buy it.
buy.
Exactly. So I want to buy everything that shines. But like it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Anyways, maybe it's
Uh,
just my problem.
but yeah, the game definitely improved a lot ever since it was released. At this point, 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, and apparently grew a lot as well. Like they were telling some informations that the game is huge in China as well, but they never give you clear numbers, right?
Yeah, it's crazy for me that in China, like the other day, you told me that they have a different app.
Exactly, it's
It's not
basically a
even
different
TFT.
game.
Yeah, and I was still really confused about it. Like I'm trying
Yeah.
to imagine TFT that is not TFT, but it's TFT at the same time.
Yes. It's like they get the base from here, but there's a different Chinese company responsible for actually developing the game, the interface, the skins. I believe they have different skins as well.
You told me the same happens for LOL, right?
But LoL is more similar. It's more the same.
The same.
I think the main thing they had some censorships, like they censor skulls, they censor blood, so they have some censorships like that.
Okay.
But the game itself is
It's
the same. I don't think they get different skins or anything like that. That's it. Like it's a game that they say that is huge in China. We don't have numbers to tell people, but it's also quite popular. Like around here, I would say definitely is not as big as the hype moment, but it's definitely the one that is like number one in the genre of auto chess. I guess we can mention that one that was like played a lot as well was the one from Hearthstone that they created after called Battlegrounds. I played a lot on the release as well, and I feel like the community was shifting so much that like almost everyone abandoned Hearthstone and went into Battlegrounds. But then they started having like a pay to win concept of like, okay, if you pay, you get more heroes to choose from. Because in Battlegrounds at the beginning of the game, you choose a hero that has a unique ability. And they're like, okay, if you don't pay, you have two options. If you pay, you have four. So I'm like, no, thank you. It also started going super crazy. So like the units, they had life and power in Battlegrounds, right? It is really literally like a card game in that one. So in the beginning, at the end, in the beginning of the game,
okay,
like when the game was created, when the game was created, at the end of the game, your unit was like 50-50. It was a big, really huge unit. And nowadays you can find a unit of like 500 or something like that. So it is crazy how the numbers just keep going up and up and up. And I feel like TFT can avoid that. But that game kind of needs to make that to make you feel good about playing and that you're like doing more. But TFT can avoid that because you don't really see the numbers exactly and the damage. And
you see, but everything happens so fast. You see the damage, right? Like when a person that.
Yeah, but it's not like it matters that much. In that game, you see the units hitting and you see the big number, like 50, right? I don't know. Maybe they just decided, oh, no, we need to make it bigger, blah, blah, blah. Because TFT can do that in other ways, bringing the arguments, bringing other mechanics, and different types of synergies.
They didn't come with
exactly.
those
And the game is more limited on that because it's like a card game, literally, and that you cannot do much. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Can you find this game now?
Yeah,
Battleground?
you just download Hearthstone and it's inside the same.
But you say it's not as famous as before or something.
Definitely not as famous as before. I think Hearthstone as a whole, the community shrinked a lot. There were like many very big streamers, like the ones that I mentioned before, that just stopped playing Hearthstone and start playing other things, or stopped playing at all. So uh it's definitely not as big as before. I think there's still some people who plays Battlegrounds, maybe even more than the regular Hearthstone. But
We don't know.
yeah, it's more of a niche thing now than when it was more mainstream. So now let's talk about why do we think the TFT is surviving, but not just surviving, thriving. Why do you think TFT is doing so good and people still give it attention and people still play it a lot? Okay. So we grabbed some possible reasons here and we want to go through it a little bit. I think the first one is because it's the same universe as League of Legends. So there was a lot of people that liked League of Legends, and of course, not all of them came to TFT. I know a lot of people that say, why do you play the game? The game is like whatever. People that don't like it that play League of Legends, but also a lot of people that started playing casually or playing TFT more than League of Legends. So they delivered in that point where the hype was still huge, right? That was their main focus. Kind of a similar vibe with League of Legends. League of Legends in the beginning was tough. It was very weird, very outdated. Even for the time when it was released, the graphics were already like outdated.
Oh.
Yeah. But people got excited, especially because it was free to play. And then you get what? TFT free to play as well.
Yeah, as we were saying, with the experience of low, they they bring this experience and use it for TFT.
Yeah.
It's a huge plus for it as well. But the fact that you bring low champions and low items and to TFT also brings attention, right? And people get curious about TFT as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also they try to bring a lot of different skins from the champions. And now they're starting to grow even like beyond that, right? Because they kind of used everything already. Because
Yeah.
every set of TFT has what, like 60 different champions? Something like that. It's a lot of champions. And then you imagine that every set we're already in the 13. So by set 1 to 10 is already like 600 different units.
Different units
So
now,
of
like
course they started repeating, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah. So they repeat the same champion with a different skin. And then eventually they even repeat the same champion with the same skin. And they started doing something that I think is a little weird, which is like, I mean, they've always done that, I think, because to fit the theme of the team, they change to fit the theme of the team.
The theme. Okay.
The theme of the team. They change the color of the champion. So let's say this champion is purple, but we're doing in a theme like a forest, nature. So we're gonna change the color to green.
Who, for example?
For example,
This set.
this has Zyra.
Zyra's green. Yeah.
Zyra is like
right now.
green, and her original is kind of green, but it's more like reddish. And right now she looks like a corpse. She's like very ugly.
She looks green for me. It's just green.
She's just green and like pale, right?
Because
this is
experiment,
like a zombie shit, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or all the rebels have a blue hair because it's from Jinx, right? And they don't have blue hairs in the actual game.
I think it's cool. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it looks a little weird in the mini photo.
Even
because
though,
it looked like it was made in paint.
Sometimes, sometimes I get confused between Israel and Seth because they have blue hair.
Blue hair.
And they look similar. Yeah, but as you mentioned, the fact that they kind of have to repeat the same champions all over, like again and again and again. I feel like they kind of try to compensate with the fact that they bring patches how many
Every 2 weeks.
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Every 2 weeks you see something different. So I think that also keeps the momentum. Like that also helps people to stay to pay attention to what's happening to the game, and I used to stick to the metacom that started in the beginning of the set. No, like every 2 weeks you have to be checking if anything has changed drastically in the game.
So in a way, I know that it can feel bad because let's say, okay, you found the team that you love to do and it's really
the
good.
team of your dreams.
The team of your dreams, you're doing like sorcerers, just bursting out damage, and then one day you log into play and it feels awful and you lose all the games. But it's essential for the game, definitely, because if you stayed in the same type of comp more than those 2 weeks, maybe more than a month, people would get just tired of it, And that's something that happens with the board games. People will stop playing or they need to buy expansions. And that's because they play way less often. Now imagine a game that you're playing a lot, right? Because a board game you play like once per week with your friends, maximum, you don't play that much. But to get tired of a game that you're playing every day, many matches, because you also want to be really good, you need those balances, you need those patches. Also, so all the champions have their time to shine, right? Okay, maybe Morgana is really bad right now, but they do a new patch and the Morgana is amazing. And then you can do Morgana 3 stars and make her comp. Or, different variations of that. And without that, the game just would be boring after some time.
I also think that it helps you. Like it forces you to stay flexible or to learn how to be flexible in the game, right? As you mentioned, if you stay with the same comp for the amount of time that the set is on, like you never learn about other comps or what other things you can do with other champions that you never play, right? Just because you want to stick to one comp. And I think the patches also help you with that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to, of course, because who wants to try new things? All right.
You can adapt. I think a lot of the strong points, like stronger players do, is like they have 3 main comps, and then when the patch changes, they find 3 new ones, maybe adapting the old ones, because you do get better at playing the same team as well. Yeah. But this is a conversation for another episode. So going on the same line of the balance patches, we also have the new sets. As we said, the game has 5 years and a half. And we're already in the set number 13. So they release new sets every 3 months, more or less. It changes. Like they used to do a set, and then in the middle, like after 2 months, they do a middle patch where they change half of the units.
Oh,
they used to do there. They used to do that. Now they're now they're like, okay, we're gonna keep one for like 3 months. And then after those 3 months, we're gonna change everything. Because those middle ones, some people would like, some people would just like, man, I don't know. I guess they didn't like how it was going, so they decided to change.
Yeah, I like the idea that every set has a different theme. There was one, I don't know if it was the last one, that it was like the music.
The music was my favorite. It was like so a huge project, yeah.
And when you pick your main your main synergy makes a song, right?
Exactly. So you will listen to the songs as you have the synergy. So if you have like something of this, the music start mixing. It was amazing. Like it was a huge, and it feels kind of sad, right? Because you have such a huge set like this, the music one, that is gone after 3 months. But I guess it's part of the game.
Nothing lasts forever.
Nothing lasts forever. I think maybe a subject for another podcast would be...
You have to enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. How long can they keep doing that? Because they're kind of repeating themselves in a lot of themes. So, okay, we can say that the Arcane one was different, was new in a way. But it was also League of Legends based, but anyway, like newer.
Anomaly is a huge thing.
But, for example, they did one with dragons, and they did one with myths. That one was not exactly dragons, but it was similar to dragons.
Did you get your dragon right or something?
And they already did one with like mechs. But then the next one also has like androids and stuff like that. The next one is going to be futuristic as well. More like kind of cyberpunkish. So... And also, of course, they use the same skins that they use in similar themes, right? So it's new, but they start repeating some things, and it's like they have to release so often that they don't really have time to make completely new skins, and they don't have the team to do all of that,
Wouldn't
right?
it be better to make like two main sets in a year or three main sets in a year?
They make three. They
Just
made
three
three.
every
Yeah.
3 months?
Maybe it's every
That's nine.
four. Maybe it's every 4 months. Because this year they said what? It's because we're starting a year with something that started last year, and then there's gonna be
Ah, okay.
the cyberpunk one, another one that I don't remember, and then one at the end of the year that is like coming back to Runeterra. So yeah, every now and then they come back as well. So I think it just keeps things a little different, right? A little twist. Okay, you know that they're gonna come back to the futuristic ones. You know that they're coming back to dragons and stuff. But at least it gives you some time off. So when you come back, you're like, okay, it's been a while. Let's have fun, right? I
I
think,
agree.
yeah. One thing that I really liked was in the dragon one that they created dragons for that one, and it was really cool. The dragons were a concept of like, okay, they take two spaces because they're
Wait,
so powerful.
how the dragon works? If you reach like 5 of the synergy, you get your dragon? How does it
No,
work?
no, that you would buy them in the store.
Oh, you buy your dragon.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe they bring. Maybe they bring something like that in the future.
maybe, yeah. And we had those units that cost two spaces. They were very fun. The dragons, but they're
Yeah.
also like the colossus, like the Shogath and Scion in other
Yeah. I feel
sets.
there's always something that you can change and modify, even if it's a small.
Yeah.
I think
Which kind of
that's the
connects to
best.
our other point of why do we think TFT is doing so good, is they add new mechanics, right? We said here,
Mm.
okay, after a few sets, they added the arguments, and it was a big hit. It was amazing. People loved it, and it's something that just stay forever because the amount of new possibilities that gives your game is really good and it's really fun. People really like them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I also think that the fact that they listened to the community and the feedback that they receive from the community
Yeah.
also helps with this idea that the TFT is gonna continue the success. Like the fact that it's a game that is listening to the people and see what is working and what's not, and that they are not just doing what they want to do. It's just like
Yeah.
they listen to the feedback. I
Definitely.
think that.
Listening to the feedback is very important. Definitely that helped a lot. Um, they don't listen to all the feedback, but they listen to a lot of the feedback, so that's really good already. I think
I
the
mean,
community
you
is very
cannot please.
active.
Yes, you
Yeah.
cannot please everyone. I
No,
agree
for
with that.
sure. Yeah. TFT also does have a strong competitive scene, so they did deliver when they said that they were going to start having tournaments. Even with COVID and all, they had like some online tournaments,
I,
and
I have my theory that Kobe also helped TFT to. I mean, any game I think to to grow in terms of community, right?
yeah, people definitely had more time available to play and do stuff because they
Yeah,
had to be at home. So
it's not a theory. I think it's a fact. At this point, like.
yeah, but there are also other auto chess that didn't thrive in that time.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So but the competitive scene is strong and people are still playing to be challenger, to be the best on the ladder, and to participate in those tournaments. So they did really good with that. They do good with that with League of Legends as well. They promote it well, even though it doesn't have the same level of production as League of Legends, like World Championship or something like that. It is still very good. It has like the professional castings and casters and people talking
Yeah.
about it, and you can follow through. They also stay like saved for some time. I don't even know. Maybe you can still even watch older sets, like the full game, right? And it's something that definitely helps because you feel like, okay, if I'm good at this game, I can be there, right? It's something that you look up to. That other games, one of the first ones that did that, like in physical, was Magic. Magic in the beginning of the 2000s, even before in the 90s, at the end of the 90s, it used to pass on the TV on ESPN. That's it.
Mm.
Yeah. Magic had better prices in the past than nowadays. It started going down actually.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
So Magic was one of the first ones that was huge, and they incentivate the community, right? Like I feel like it's a community very driven towards competitive side.
Magic or TFT.
Magic and TFT and
Like-
League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, you're saying it is a bad thing, or
It's a choice. It's a choice.
it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you wanna deliver your game? Like, how you wanna present
Yeah.
your game to the people, right?
Like competitive people are definitely very engaging because they're there very often and everything. I do think there is a space for communities that would want to have fun. That's why they also have a RAM, and they have like different modes with Earth and things that they bring back and Arena. So they started exploring more those sides as well. But
It's not as
definitely
big as
the main
competitive
one
area,
is the
yeah.
competitive. I feel like TFT has some potential to be more for fun as well, but the way that the game is built, like for you to win, you need to
kill
be
your
better.
enemies.
You need to kill your enemies, right?
Yeah.
So
The only one was the only one that is more like cooperative is Double Up.
double up, you're playing with someone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it for now.
Yeah. And last point that we want to mention for
Uh-huh.
today, I think, is that they did the mobile game, right? They did the mobile version, and is like because for example, League of Legends you cannot play on your phone, so it's a specific thing just for TFT. But you can even connect with people playing the computer, so you can be playing your phone and someone's playing on their computer.
Yeah.
So that's really cool as well. And the mobile looks really nice.
I prefer playing a computer, to be honest.
Yeah, because the phone is too small, right? Like for us, it's just better to play the computer.
I've seen people like some memes that people place in the phone and then they sell their main unit
By
the
mistake.
3 cost unit, like 3-star unit, by mistake. They just sell it. So I feel like those kind of mistakes are easier on the phone than in the desktop.
Yeah.
Even though it can happen, but I feel like there's room for improvement.
There's
in
room for
mobile, yeah.
improvement. Even like the tablet version, people said for the longest time, it was not properly made. It was like small, like it was a
Yeah,
phone.
I've seen some videos.
Yeah, people talk about like that for years.
There was a huge tablet, right, with big screen, and
Yeah,
then
the game just in the corner, like it's not covering the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the middle or in the corner, but like in the small size, right? So it was a huge meme for sure. But now it's better. I feel like it's a big thing, especially in China as well, because they have those different people behind the game. So they do more work in that sense. So the game is more polished, is like better than our version here. Our version here feels a little abandoned, a little bit.
The mobile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. I think in a tablet it's pretty good. It's pretty nice to play in a tablet. In a phone, like in a small phone, is not the best. It's a lot of small things to change it, and you don't have much time, so you start running out of time, and yeah, it's a little complicated. But the fact that they have the option already is good, no matter what, for everyone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, how do you say, democratic? No.
It gives you an extra option, and a lot of people don't have computers, don't play on computers. You can see in the community people saying, "Oh yeah, I only play in the phone," and it's a good thing. It's always a positive, right?
I think after this conversation, I think the questions that come to my mind that maybe we can discuss other day, or we can leave it to the community, will be, what will TFT need in order to keep in order to keep thriving, right? What would it need? Thinking about in long term, from here in 5 years, what would it need? Because the way that you're telling me about Hearthstone and other games that they were huge in their time, but now barely no one is talking. Barely no one is talking about them. Like, I have I have the fear that it's gonna happen the same with TFT, right? And I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like that to happen, because I really like TFT and I enjoy playing and having a fun time with you. But
Yeah.
What if that happened?
I mean, there are a lot of things. We could even do an episode kind of comparing with Hearthstone. Uh, Hearthstone was different though. Like it's a game more like Magic than it is TFT, right? And there was a lot to do with the monetization, the way they were making money, and they were kind of asking more and more money. So it was, I don't know, a bunch of factors, I guess, put together. Also, the people that stopped the streaming Hearthstone that were like a huge factor in the community. They motivated the community to do more, and those big content creators just kind of moved on from Hearthstone. It's really fun though, and also really cool because there was 1 year that the world champion was a woman, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
Yeah, which is still kind of rare in esport scenes, right?
I always ask you about that. We always comment about it. Like we always see those championship, even TFT or
League of Legends. Oh man, yeah.
I always ask you, where are the girls? Where are the women?
Yeah.
Like I want to see them, and I don't see them.
Yeah.
And I want to see them.
I think it's extremely cool that one of the champions, world champions on Hearthstone, was a woman. And I was watching the girls, very exciting. Anyway, there are many factors we can talk about.
Maybe another video.
Maybe another video. I think.
Or let us know what you think. Like,
yeah. I think TFT has to keep innovating. It has to keep bringing fresh stuff that feels like newer expansions, right? And doesn't need to go up the frequency too much. I feel like a lot of those games start to burn out when they start releasing too often new things, because they kind of start running out of ideas.
Yeah,
right?
like eventually you're gonna run out of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Or like ideas that are more to put in practice.
There are cool ideas, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to use
all
shitty ideas.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and let us know what you think about this episode here in the comments. Yeah. Give an idea for the name of the podcast.
Yeah, let us know what you think about.
Do you think we forgot to tell something? Like any other reason why TFT is still going strong and other games not as much?
Yeah, let us know if you think that TFT is destined to die.
Dun, dun, dun.
No. Okay.
See you in the next one.
Bye.